Happy lunch hour, gang. Okay, we're going to do something a little different than discussing current events and discussing a little bit on our self-sufficiency here. We are 62 days away from spring, right? Yeah, okay. For me around here, there's still patches of snow on the ground. For you guys, depending on where you are, there could be a lot of snow on the ground. It's cold out, all right? But that does not mean that it isn't time to start planting. Yes, believe it or not, it is the middle of January, and some of my first crops are ready to get planted. Now, I will give you this. It all depends on where you are in the country. If you're way down on the Gulf Coast, if you're out in the desert Southwest, you probably are well into planting time. If you are middle of the country, you're up north, hey, you're in Montana, probably not yet, okay? But the big question I always get, comes up a lot on live streams, is when do I plant this, right? And unfortunately, I am not a encyclopedia of growing zones and different vegetables. So I wanted to show you something. It's not mine, okay? I want to share this with you in case you didn't know of it. And you can go find this on almanac.com. And it's their garden planner. And I want to kind of show you a little bit here of just how I use it. You can use it any way you want, okay? So one of the first things I did with mine, and I've used this for a few years now. I've used this basically since we've been here, so this will be my 6th year of using it. The first thing I need to do is draw out the design of my gardens, and I get a picture such as this, okay? And as you guys know, I've got 3 gardens that are 18 by 24, and then I've got 1 garden that's 24 by 40. So drawing them out, and each year I can put in what I want to grow. Now, I'll give you this of what do you want to grow? And it changes for me every year. How I do it, don't say this is how you have to do it, is I go through my food storage and I say, okay, this is the one I'm a little short on. This is the one I have plenty of. And so what do I need to grow this year? For example, for the last 2 years, I have not grown green beans because I had a great harvest 3 years ago and had plenty of them. We've used a lot of those now. This year, I'll be growing green beans. This year, I'm not growing white potatoes. Why? Because I've got about 300 quarts of white potatoes. I don't need more at the moment. Little sidebar on this one, I have some of my little potato-lets, if you want to call them, the seedlets that I've chitted over the winter. And I'll plant those in buckets this year, not to grow potatoes, but just so I can keep my seed stock, so I have seed stock next year should I need to grow potatoes, and I'll just keep doing that. You guys know I did that last year, or actually 2 years ago with my black beans and my white beans, is I had planted enough just to grow some seed stock. So last year I had seed stock and I grew a boatload of white beans and black beans and jarred those all up, okay? So it's kind of how I do it. But so yes, so you can design your garden based on this plan and figure out, it's like, okay, how much space do I need for my tomatoes, for my cucumbers, for my beans, for my corn, whatever you're going to grow. And you can put any of this stuff in there, right? If you take a look at it. So what does that get you to? Well, this is where it answers the questions that you're really looking at. Now, after I've decided what I'm going to plant and where I want to put it in my gardens, okay, again, practicing rotation in your gardens. Maybe you're one that practices companion planting or something like that, so you can see what's good, what's not, you know, what you want to plant together. This whole thing will figure it out for you, okay? The plan list gives me this page. Okay, and this is where it's very important because now it answers all the questions that you want. These are all the things I am planting that I put in my picture that I showed you before this year. Okay, now granted, the very first one on the top is asparagus. That's a perennial that keeps coming up. It's always in my plan, so it's always there. Don't need to do it. But yeah, I'm planting bush beans this year. Variety of contender, right? That's what I'm going to do. I can put even the varieties in. Early Wonder beets, Golden Acre cabbage. I told you guys I'm planting Jimmy Red corn, yada, yada, yada. And by the picture I placed in the beginning, it will now tell me what, based on the variety, based on the plant itself, what my spacings need to be, how far apart my rows need to be, and based on the spacing, or on the size of the plot that I want to do, it tells me how many I need to plant, okay? And so as you can see, I will be growing 620 corn stalks this year. I will be growing 234 bean plants, whatever you want to do, 65 pepper plants of the varieties that I'm picking. Let this do it. What it keeps you from doing is underplanting or overplanting. Underplanting is hard to get around. It's like, crap, I needed 60 of them and I only planted 48. Now I'm 12 short. And if you want to start something, now you're 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 weeks behind, and you have little plants that may not ever produce fruit. If you overplant, the thing says you need 65 plants and you only plant 62 or something like that, and you've got 3 other pepper plants. Great. Give them to your neighbors. Give them to a friend. Put them in a bucket, okay? Find somewhere else to plant it. But maybe you can help somebody else out. And I mean, I get this every year is when I plant all my seedlings, I will always overplant my seedlings. If I need, for example, real simple one here, it says I need 7 cucumber plants. I'll probably plant 12. Why? Well, there's always the chance that one of those seedlings, one of those seeds never sprouts. So I make sure I will have 7. If I get 9, great. Give it away to somebody else. If I planted 50 and I only needed 7, this is where I've said, hey, maybe you set up a little plant stand at the bottom of your driveway, springtime, and say, hey, you want to buy seedlings, $2 a piece or whatever, and off and running you go. Okay. So that's that part of it. So if I go back to the screen again here, then you see the bar chart here on the right-hand side of this. And this is a big answer for everybody's questions. When do I start the plants? Now, this is, again, the benefit of doing this. You will enter your grow zone, whether you're zone 8, zone 2, zone 5, whatever, into the software here, and it will tell you what the optimal time to grow in your area is, to start your seedlings, to put the plants in the ground, and when you're going to harvest. If you look again on here, go down to my sweet potatoes, for example, and it says sow indoors. Yes, I started early on this, and this is a point, is I've already, around Christmas time, started my sweet potatoes to grow sweet potato slips on them. Why? Because it takes about 6 months to get good slips. You don't plant your sweet potatoes in the ground till the 1st of June, but I'm already growing my slips so I can get them. If you look at cabbage up here, all right, and that one's actually wrong on here. Okay, this will bring up a point. I need to go in and change this. It's right now time to start sowing my seeds for my cabbage. I don't know, this has got to be a glitch in its system, but that should be sowing my cabbage now and planting it around mid-March and then harvesting it June through August. So the colors are wrong in that one. Not a big deal, okay? It's adjustable. It's giving you the ideas of when, but then you have to figure out on your own by your records that you keep every year. Was this good, bad, indifferent? Was the timing different? I've found on my peppers, for example, if you look on here, it says start my pepper plants in mid-March. Okay, that's something that I've done custom because the system usually says I don't need to start my pepper plants until, I don't know, the end of May. And I find if I start them mid-March, I get better plants in earlier. I get a longer harvest out of peppers, and I grow a bunch, and I eventually have a lot more peppers in there. So it's something that gives you a starting point, and then you can work with this the whole way through. Okay, adjust it as you need be. As I just said, I've got to go change something in here that I didn't even notice. It's a good thing I did this video. I learned something. Okay, totally passed over me. But a lot of you ask questions on when should I do this? What should I do this? What kind of tomatoes or what kind of cucumbers or whatever you're growing? You know, you can learn a lot off of this program. It's not free. Okay, there is a free trial, which I would suggest if you're trying to figure this out, go use the free trial, map out your garden, take a screenshot of it, and poof, now you know where to start. And you can put it on, a PDF doc or something, or even print it out on a piece of paper, and you've got a document, at least you know where everything needs to be this year. I use it every year because it's a good place for me to keep my notes. Next year, for example, this year when I'm planting, it'll keep track of what I did last year. So it shows me, hey, I don't want to plant nightshades in this particular part of the garden because I had nightshades there last year. So you don't give your chances, raise your chances of having a soil-borne illness, hurt plants. We talked about this Saturday night. If you planted tomatoes in one garden last year, one part of one garden, maybe plant corn there this year, because then if there's any disease in the soil right there, the disease is like, what do we do? This isn't what's supposed to be here. We don't, we attack tomatoes. We don't attack corn. Or, anything of sort, or cucumbers, whatever, or squash, pick something, because it's a different genus for the plant. But I'll put the link below for you guys to go check it out. I mean, just go to almanac.com and then look for garden planner, and you can see it. Go play around with it. Maybe it's something that'll help you. Maybe you're like, Pinball, I'm so far past this, I don't need this. But I know there's a lot of people that are new to this. It'll give you some ideas, and then you can also figure out what you want to do. One other word of advice, if you need any of your seeds, now is the time to buy them, okay? If you're going to order them online, some of them are already in the store. If you're buying, the typical stuff that they sell at Walmart or whatever, you get it at the store, okay? Depending on what, you want to buy. If you like, say, Wakefield cabbage or something like that, usually you get those in the store. You want to try something different, maybe you got to get those online. If you want to order onion sets, now is the time to do it. Those will be shipped here in the next couple of months. I've mentioned Dixondale to you guys for numerous years for getting onion sets to plant your onions. That's it. Sweet potatoes, as I've said, you can go buy bulk sweet potatoes at the grocery store and start slips off of those. It's a lot cheaper than buying slips. You just need to do it because it takes a long time. And again, take a look at the tomatoes. Somebody asked Saturday night what tomatoes we're growing this year. We decided that we want to grow some paste tomatoes, so we're growing a black plum paste tomato. It's another Russian tomato. And then we're also growing a hillbilly tomato, which is a big beefsteak tomato. So those are the ones we do. And we like to try different types of tomatoes every year and see what we like. Some we've turned out to really like. Some, not so much. And then the ones we don't keep seeds for. The ones we do keep seeds for. So just giving you an idea. I know it's not current events. It's probably a video if you made it this far. A lot of people, I'm surprised. But I wanted to share this because a lot of you guys ask me this stuff. So, yeah, if you're in my zone, 6B, 7A, that area, whatever, it's cabbage planting, guys. That's time to start. Your lettuces, your cabbages, yep, we're going. Have a good afternoon. Pinball out.